Okay, so I'm going to go over client interactions on this recertification. It's very important as a CSR. You're very mindful of how you professionally interact with our clients. We want to have a great relationship with the clients. You should take personal interest in them, like ask them how their day is going. What are they getting into? Are they doing anything fun? Always ask that question if you ever talk to a client, like on a phone call or like on a Zoom call. Ask them how their day is going if they're doing anything fun. It's a great way to make a personal connection. Okay. And then as you're discussing things with the client, you want to sound confident and competent. Confident means you give certain answers, and competent uh, means that you are reliable. You reliably offer consistently good answers confidently, right? So you want to be careful with client work. Sometimes they ask us to do things outside of the scope of work. Our scope of work is pretty well defined around lead generation ads while running marketing automations to help warm up their leads. It's pretty simple. We run ads, we maintain their on platform form capture for capturing leads on Facebook and Instagram on the Meta platform. And we create ads for them and publish for them on a weekly basis, like on a very aggressive publishing schedule. And then we help them with sending ringless voicemails, text messages, and emails to those leads. So it helps them to convert those leads into sales. So you have to be careful when people start asking about like making website updates, launching new offers. Like if they say, well, you're running my ads for this certain type of product or service I sell, I need to launch ads for a whole new service. Well, that requires a whole new strategy. So we need to like have a strategic meeting with a salesperson or myself, like with me, Chris, because we need to charge more for more scope of work. Like creating ads for a whole new offer requires a new scope of work. It requires a whole new strategy, which requires different ads for aside, and that requires different budget, different creatives. So if you feel like the client is asking you to like advertise a new offer, create something we don't normally create, like a bot system or like a website or something like that. You know, don't don't do it. Just let them know it's outside of our scope of work. What I can do for you is talk to you about your ads, right? So you're not necessarily saying no, you're just saying what you can do. You say, well, we don't normally do that, but what we can do is help you with looking at maybe optimizing the ad messaging so we're getting the right people, right? So a good way you can tell if things are kind of in a gray area, like they're asking us to do something, they say, well, you guys said that you would run these extra messenger ads for me because it's the same strategy and we already produced the content for it. I just need you to create that. For example, let's say they're asking that. Well, we're not really sure until we actually look at that. So you could go into the client folder. In this very example, we'll use this same example. And I'll pull up, let's say it's for Conscious Counsel. This is one of our clients. I'll pull up their swipe file and go to meetings. Okay, they have a meeting recording folder where we keep everything in their swipe folder. And we go to the oldest meeting usually for the discovery call here where we quote the scope of work usually. And I can actually open this. Okay, I'm going to copy it, do a Control A command, just copy it. Rather than watch the whole scope of work or whatever, I'm actually just going to talk to Chat GPT. I'm going to open up just a blank chat and I'll click the little microphone here. I am a client service representative for a marketing agency that runs Facebook ads for its clients. I'm going to give you a video transcript of the original discovery call for the client because I need to verify within the transcript if we promised the client that we would run their messenger ads to get new leads on their messenger direct messages that they are currently using, but with paid ads. Okay, so like I talk into it, I give it everything, and then I'll just hit return and I'll paste in that transcript and then run the chat. This way it can just search through everything very easily. And it actually gives us a timestamp too to identify the scope of work. One way is actually run DM ads, lead form strategy in place. So it is possible. Did not promise it as part of scope of work though. And then I recommended alternatives. So there we go. So we actually can, so then we can tell the client, hey, this is something that we would just need to charge extra for. And I need to get with the team to find out, and I'll get back to you in 24 hours. So always tell people how long it takes to get back to them. Never say you're going to ask Chris or you're going to ask the owner. Never say who you're going to ask. You always just say, hey, let me meet with the team to see what we would need to bill for this. That's it. You just say it's something that we can do. However, I need to see what we would bill for it, because we run ads on Meta and they're talking about a particular kind of ad strategy. We just need a budget usually for different strategy and a strategy. Okay, when we start doing a different strategy or something, we don't want to take from the budget of the current strategy that's working for them, right? And you just say, I just need to get with the team. You always, always, always avoid saying, I'll talk to Chris or I'll talk to the owner, because they've been in touch with me. They will try to start bypassing you and talk to me or talk to the owner if they know that I'm the one that makes the decisions. They say, well, this person obviously is not making a decision for me. They don't sound competent. Remember, you want to be confident and competent. They don't sound competent. They're going back to Chris or the owner. I'll just message Chris. In fact, I'll copy him on an email when I'm emailing them. We cannot operate that way. I cannot have every client asking me every time for everything. I just want to deal with you. I want to deal with the CSR. I'm going to deal with you because that will help you learn on an ongoing basis. It's just me and you talking. If I talk to the client without you involved, you're not going to learn anything, and we'll never be able to develop you having a great relationship with the client. You want to be able to go back to the client and be like, hey, no problem. We need a budget for these ads of about $50 a day, and you're going to need to pay like another $200 a month in addition to your current retainer for us to run an additional messaging campaign for you, okay? Or something like that. But you'd come back to me. Don't mention that, though, to the client, of course. So that's how you can quickly search through a discovery for what was promised in a scope of work when they're asking something particular. And don't discuss that you're talking to me or like the owner or whatever. Don't use that kind of language. You just want to say, hey, I just need to go look into it for you, maybe talk with the team, and I'll come back to you within 24 hours. Always quote when you're coming back to somebody if you don't have an answer right away. And never talk. So the next point is never talk about what kind of technology we use unless the client seems to know or mentions the technology. So never say like for example, if the client's like, hey, this is another thing. I want Chris's phone number. Okay, I want Chris's phone number. Well, you would just say, no problem. And then you would give them our virtual number. That is my phone number too, if that makes sense. So I checked this phone number. I checked the Google Voice line. You say, hey, no problem. It's 970-235-0896, right? And if they're like, oh, I dialed that and he didn't answer, say, yeah, sometimes he can't answer all the time and he also can't respond to a text message immediately, but we always try to get back to you. So it's, sometimes a team member will get back to you if we can answer your question or help you right away. Right? Never ever say, if they're like, well, how can I get a hold of Chris directly? Never ever say, well, you can't, and we just have a Google Voice phone number that we all share. Never explain that to a client. Totally unprofessional, right? Or if they're like, well, I called in and it said it was a Google Voice number, because sometimes there's a whisper message, and then I have to say my name before the call. Can I have his cell phone number? You just let them know, well, this does forward to Chris, and he does get notifications. This is his number. Okay, this is the number that we use as a team that Chris also uses, so we can all try to help you expeditiously, right? Also, if a client's complaining to you about needing to contact through the Google Voice number, it means you're not helping them with something, actually. It means that you're not doing a good enough job that they think they need to talk to me directly, right? Another thing is like Go High Level. We do a lot of services through this software called Go High Level. And what I say to clients is we simply have a CRM system, an enterprise, call it an enterprise CRM system, custom built for our agency, where we can send out your SMS text messages, your voicemails, and ringless voicemails. We build it all for you, custom. We actually customize all of it for you. and then we give you access to it, no problem, right? If they're like, is it go high level? Then it doesn't really matter. You can just say, yeah, it is, because they already mentioned it, right? That's the policy if they mention it. If they're like, well, what system is it? Just say, it's a custom enterprise software, and I would have to look into it. Just tell them you have to look into it. Don't tell them that it's go high level, okay? And you're not lying to them. You're just saying you have to look into it, okay? Because then the answer is like you're not going to tell them, basically, all right? You just say, but it is a custom enterprise software, that we use to help you, basically. And it's actually a courtesy. We don't charge them extra for it. They get a full CRM with full marketing automations that we set up for them on the back end of their ads. They should be hyped about that, okay? So, if they're like, well, what do you use? To say, well, there's a lot of different ones out there. We just have a custom one that's meant for agency use. It's a special enterprise one. Okay, so you want to discuss the team members in a similar way, like where you're not naming them specifically, but you're just talking about team members. So if they're like, oh, your graphic designer made this horrible design, they complain to you. What are they using to make the design? Say, well, we use special software. And they say, well, I can tell it's made with AI. We'll say, yes, you're correct. Actually, it is made with AI, but we do guide it. We have specific prompts, and we use a quality certification process. So it's not just a one prompt deal. We generate images based on your strategic research, based on proven strategies, and then we quality control those assets so we get a good finished result. And our team members work on that for you. You don't even want to speak to the role. You wouldn't actually even want to come in and say, our virtual assistants do. You just say our team members, okay? Or were they like, hey, who's going to publish my ads? Or we have a professional team member that'll get them published in like 2 days. They say, well, is Chris publishing my ads? Well, yes, Chris actually publishes your ads with the help of our team members, okay? It's good to say yes to clients. You don't want to say, no, Chris doesn't publish them. That will get us fired. You say, yes, Chris publishes them with the help of our team members, because in a way I am publishing them because I train and run all the media buyers, okay, and I oversee them. And I do publish client ads sometimes. But matter of fact is that we run regular professional audits on our client accounts as a team. We monitor as a team because we can do a lot more than just one guy on an ad account and produce way better results than if it was just me. So you say, yeah, definitely, Chris runs your ads, and then like he's supported by team members like me, is what you say. Okay, Chris definitely does it, and then he gets support from team members like me. So if they're like, well, who is it that makes this video? The video editor needs to know to do this and that. And you say, well, I help with the video editor, and team members like me help with that if they mention a specific position, right? Or they say, well, whoever's doing this video needs to do a better job. You don't say, oh, well, the video editor, he doesn't do a great job sometimes. You would never say something like that to a client. You'd say, yeah, let me get with the team member. We'll make some updates for you. No problem. We'll get those changes right away, right? You see the difference? You always answer in the positive in a general way. All the client cares about are results. Then you're specific about the results. You're very confidently saying, yeah, I'll get back to you tomorrow afternoon. Right? Be specific about your results. That builds confidence. And keep your technical speak in acronyms out of client comms. You should never say like CSR to a client, really. And I even slip with this sometimes too, but you have to say client success representative, right? Like if for some reason they're like, well, what do you do in the company? You say, well, I'm a client success representative. I help you make sure that your creatives are successful, our communications are successful, your automations and your software use is all successful, regarding your advertising and lead generation, right? Use simple language to explain things and be concise. We want to be careful when we say things like UGC project. What's UGC? We say, well, it's user generated content. It's an ad made by a creator that's a real person, right? You don't want to say, hey, do you want to make a UGC ad? Because they'll be like, I don't know what that means. Sometimes the client does know, and they'll say things like that. They'll say, well, I want to do more UGC ads. Then you can simply be like, okay, great. We use real creators, and we create very high-quality ads with that. But stay away from acronyms and technical speak as much as possible with clients. Speak plainly and spell things out all the way. Don't use acronyms. An acronym is when you just use like the abbreviations of something for them, and then they have no idea what you're saying. And try not to say no, but explain what you can do when you deal with clients, right? So if the client says, hey, can you meet with me in an hour so we can fix this automation so my leads are coming into my CRM? I need your help. You don't want to email them back and say, no, I can only meet with you at this link, and you give them your booking link. You would say, you would check your booking link and you give them a specific answer for confidence. And you would say, hey, what I can do is meet with you tomorrow at 3:00. Grab a time using my link here. I checked it and I've got a time open there for you. So you didn't say no, you just said what you can do for them. Okay? That's a trick that a lot of 5-star, really good customer service people understand is you never say no to a client. You simply redirect to what you can do for them. Thank you for the message. Like saying thank you. Hey, thanks for the message. What I can do for you is that I can go ahead and meet with you tomorrow at 3. Use my link here. Okay. So do not mention that you need to ask me, the owner. We already went over that. Because you cannot solve their problem or answer a question. You actually never want to say that you cannot do something. Like I said, it's almost like saying no to a client. You just want to go into research mode. You're going to look things up. You're going to ask questions of your team members. You're going to ask ChatGPT. And you're just going to let them know you just need some time. You just have to tell the client, hey, I just need to get back to you later today or tomorrow afternoon if that's all right. And if they're like, that's not fast enough, I need to know now, say, okay, well, I will prioritize this and get back to you later today. Or, if they're being nice and liberal about everything, you say about their time, say, hey, if this isn't a high priority, I'm going to research it for you, get the best quality answer and get back to you like on Thursday. Okay. Then you'd set a reminder to get back with the client, making sure that you research things and problem solve for them and then reply back to them. Okay. So there's also 4 key questions to ask in the last part of client interactions when talking about lead quality. You want to ask the client about their lead quality on a weekly basis. And you'll see we have this in our workflows, actually. You're going to ask them, how are your leads doing? Are you getting sales? Are the people you're talking to, you having meaningful conversations with them? If you're like, hey, how are the leads going? And the client says, bad, we're not doing well. The client is going to go into a mode where they're going to start trying to tell us what to do because we're spending their money on ads and we're not getting results, or we're getting them results that they don't like. So you have to kind of lead the way, or else they're going to start trying to micromanage us, which will not turn out in success because they don't know how to run ads. So you need to ask them 4 questions. First question, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that the leads aren't going very well. Have you been calling the leads? And if they're like, yes, then you want to ask, okay, how often do you call them? Then you want to ask them, do you leave a voicemail when you call them? Okay, and the last question, have you called them and talked to somebody, or do you call them until they say no when you do talk to somebody? Because a lot of times people don't understand that they're getting leads and they have to call them every day until they say no. So they might have gotten 10 leads over a period of a week, and they say we called all 10 leads. Okay, did you call them at least twice? Did they say no to you? Are the people you're calling saying no? And then those 4 questions should lead to other questions. Those are the foundational questions you need to answer. Then you might ask questions about the answers to the questions and say, and if they say yes, they are answering, you say, oh, well, what do they like? You say, well, we're getting a lot of men calling in, but we only service women. Or we're not getting homeowners calling in, we're getting people that rent. We service homeowners. Like we're getting the wrong type of people. Okay, because these questions can lead to us optimizing their lead form and how we're capturing leads for them. But you have to discover this. You can't just, if a client says the leads aren't going very well, we're not really getting any sales. If you just say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll talk to the owner, Well, guess what? You're doing a horrible job. You're breaking policy, and you're not being confident, and you're not being competent with the client. You need to be confident and confidently start asking these questions immediately. How many times do you call them? Do you leave a voicemail? Do you talk to them until they say no? All of these questions, right? What's the nature of the people you're talking to? What do they like? You have to start asking open-ended questions, right, to see if they're doing things the right way. Exploring it with them. Ask lots of questions off of those 4 key foundational questions. It's very important, okay? Because if you just leave them high and dry, they're not going to think you're competent. They're not going to want to talk to you anymore, and I'm going to have to replace you with a different CSR while I'm doing the job myself. It's a great recipe for me firing you, okay? Because then you're just gonna be like, well, I got to talk to Chris and see what we can do. I'm sorry, the leads aren't doing well. If that's the end of the conversation, you didn't explore more with them on how to problem solve. Very bad. You want to problem solve, and remember, if you're confident, you're competent, you're positively thinking, you're saying yes to clients and what we can do for them without saying yes to things we can't do, obviously. Then great. Then you're an asset to the team, and we have a long and beautiful relationship together. However, if you interact with clients in a negative way where they're going to start contacting me to get help or other higher level team members than you, it's quickly going to lead to you not working with us anymore. Okay? These client interactions are super important, and the way you interact with clients is mostly why we have you on the team as a CSR and why we pay you what we do. So be sure to follow these guidelines. All right, thanks.